Hi everyone, Vicky Schettini here, and I'm back. I'm really excited to have the next person, Lane Kawaoka. He is the CEO of SimplePassiveCashFlow.com. And I just got to talk to him for a little bit, and I'll tell you as we're talking why I'm really excited to talk to him. Welcome to the show, and thanks for being on the show. I know you're in Hawaii having a blast.
Yeah, aloha, Vicky. Thanks for having me.
Aloha. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. I like aloha. So let's get right into it. Why are you in real estate?
So I am in real estate because it afforded me the cash flow to quit my day job, which I didn't really like. That's in a nutshell.
What was your day job?
So I went to school, kind of grew up as the kind of a middle class family to go to school, get a good job, be an engineer because apparently I was good at math and science when I was 12 or whatever. And did civil engineering. So for those civil engineers out there, any engineers out there, or anybody, you understand your first job out of college sucks, right? I mean, who likes it? So I was able to save enough money to buy a house and rented it out and realized that that was my ticket out of the rat race, right? That cash flow that I created.
Beautiful. That's why I'm excited. Now I'm going to tell you guys. It's because he is an ex-engineer. And I worked with a lot of engineers. And I love working with engineers because you guys are very good at math. And there's a lot of questions being asked, but you guys get it so fast. No offense to other people that are good at math. It just seems, I guess if you have to be an engineer, you have to be good at math, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, let's unpack this because I'm sure you and I, like, we've worked with thousands of engineers, right? I mean, I'm kind of like
Yeah.
the engineers are kind of like my Oompa Loompas. They just kind of flock to me for some strange reason. But, you know, I think like the first thing is like people, like engineers, they're not afraid of numbers, right? They know how to use a Google spreadsheet,
That's
right? But real estate's not that hard. So it frustrates me when I try and teach, non-engineers the stuff and they get intimidated, right? And I'm like, no, 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 no. It's like this is easy, right? But most engineers, they don't have that intimidation factor, that first barrier. So I think that's a big thing. The second thing, which I think is the bigger driver, is engineers don't make that much money, right? They're one of the lower paid professionals. A lot of my doctor clients, I mean, they just don't have that pain factor. You'll make three, four, $500,000, and you'll have a great life investing in crappy mutual funds.
yeah.
Whereas the engineer, you kind of top out at 90,000, $150,000 a year. It's going to be a struggle through life.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't, it depending where part of life, what part of the nation you live, that's not a whole lot. And I think you said it. I think it is the numbers factor because people that they think they're not good at numbers, and I really think that everybody's good at numbers. It's just how did you learn it? There's somewhere down the line that you missed a step and somebody put you down for it because really numbers, one plus one is two. Not like English. English, depending who your teacher is, you will have different grades, but you can't have a different grade on math because one plus one is two. So that's what's great about engineers. They're not intimidated because the numbers are what they are. And I think it's one of the groups that it's great to work with. So now, um, you mentioned how many properties do you have? Well, how long have you been doing this?
So I've been investing since 2009 is when I bought my first rental property.
Okay.
In the beginning, the way I do it, I just buy it with normal conventional financing. I just save up the down payment. So kind of
That's
boring, but that's what I preach for most of my investors are high paid professionals, doctors, lawyers, engineers. We don't really play games with any of this lease option stuff or tax liens or any of these we don't wholesale. We don't have time for that.
yeah.
So, I mean, my first, then I bought the next property, and then in 2015, I had about 11 of them. And then, today I have 3,500 units. We pick it mostly up through the syndication model, where I'll kind of lead a group of investors.
So those that are out there, can you explain a little bit about syndications? Because I mean, I think it's becoming more popular, and but a lot of people still not sure what is a syndication.
Yeah, so when I was buying single family home rentals, I think that's what a lot of people are familiar with, right? Like, I started with turnkey rentals and I got up to 11 in 2015, but then I realized it wasn't very scalable. And I started to join different mastermind groups of more higher net worth investors, a lot of credit investors, of course. And I started to learn these kind of secrets of the wealthy. And I realized a lot of these guys will invest they call these private equity, if you want to Google the term. They'll invest in private equity deals or private placements or syndications. So this is the country club deals, right? The exclusive deals where investors will put in maybe about $50,000 or 100 or whatever they're comfortable with, somewhere on that magnitude. And they'll go into dozens of deals and be diversified over different markets, different operating partners, different business plans. So essentially what a syndication is, I like to use the analogy of an airplane.
Okay.
Each business, or you're going to buy a 200 unit apartment at 123 Main Street. That's one airplane. You in the cockpit, you have the general partners who find the deal. They get the lending in their own name. They get the lender. They get the property manager. They operate the deal. They distribute funds. They collect funds. And then passive investors, the LPs in Coach, get to sit down and go to sleep. And,
I love it. I
depending
love
how the deal is structured, right? I mean, everybody's aligned, right? The
that.
plane goes down with everybody if it goes down. So everybody's kind of, pulling in the same direction. And, for LPs who are higher net worth, I mean, what better way to invest and get all the tax benefits too along the way? Just pay 50, 100 grand and go to sleep.
And there's a lot of people like the doctors, they don't have time to go and do this stuff by themselves. They really don't. So, I mean, I hope they just don't have the money in the bank because what are you collecting? I literally called the bank one day and I said, "What kind of returns do you give?" And she said, "Oh, let me send it over to you." And I get this paper and she wrote down 0.001. And I thought, "Oh, I think she had the point in the wrong place." No, it really was 0.001%. I was like, who does that? Who does 0.001? So I hope they don't have it in the bank, and I pray that they don't have it in the stock market. Because if they did, that probably did not go very well for them.
Right, right. But a lot of those guys, they make so much money that they'll still be all right. They'll still be able to drive their Porsche around. So there's no pain factor. But
Yeah.
for the other
But the ones
guys,
that
like
just
engineers,
started, yeah, that's not good. I mean, and I think to me, obviously, I'm biased because I'm in real estate and I like real estate. So to me, real estate is the best because even, I mean, have you found this? If the market goes down, it always comes back. You will not lose the investment. So you might just have to keep the investment longer if you are one of those that you're planning on selling. But the way you do it, and this is what I like about this part of real estate, is cash flow. You can be in the Bahamas and you're still making money.
that's right. I mean, we kind of focus on this strategy where we pick up more stabilized assets. So stabilized is defined as 90% occupied or more in terms of the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac lenders out there. So it's a good property, there's
Yeah,
not
it's
really anything, nothing really wrong with it. So, it's cash flowing day one when we get it. That's one of my criteria in my buy box. And we're trying to put a little bit of rehab into it, maybe about $3,000 to $6,000, new flooring, new appliances, but we're not really getting into the heavy stuff like cabinets and countertops. And just trying to bump the rents up a little bit, maybe 50, $100 per unit. But that's enough to, get a heavy force appreciation on the back end as we cash flow.
yeah, and people will be surprised, but there's certain things that you can do that will make a big difference. It's not much for the tenants, but it does make a big difference on the portfolio. Now, what about your management? Who does your property management?
Yeah, so we hire third-party property managers. We're typically working with more of the commercial side. It's night and day between property managers when I had them on my single-family homes and commercial property managers. I mean, it's just night and day the level of sophistication.
Yeah.
But our my role is sort of to play asset manager, right? Because I don't want a $15 an hour employee or $50,000 employee a year to be managing a $10 million asset for me, right? Like my role is to oversee the property manager.
Love it. Now, are you working? Are you looking for other investors, or are you? What? How exactly does Simply Passive Cash Flow Income do?
Yeah,
For
so we I have two sides of our business here. One side is education side. We have a pretty unique mastermind program for mostly accredited investors and investors trying to invest remotely. A lot of our clients are in Hawaii or California and investing in places like Birmingham, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Kansas City, trying to pick up turnkeys. But another group that we have are trying to invest passively in syndications. And, it just doesn't take that much education to get them up to speed to be able to, call the BS out of these pitch decks, right? What reversion cap rates should they be looking for? What are rent increases per year? You know, um, Unfortunately, most investors in private placements and syndications don't have nearly the level of sophistication the ones that are buying rental properties, but they have extra two zeros to their net worth. So
I love it. And can you, in your own words, explain what accredited investors is?
yeah, so in credit investors, you can Google this on the SEC website, but essentially this is a more affluent person. So I think it's what $250,000 you have to make it your day job or more, and you have to have you have a net worth of $1 million, not including your primary residence. So basically the gist is you have to be in a financial situation to be able to, lose 50, 100 grand, and it's
Yeah,
not the end of the world. And this is the frustrating part. The government's trying to protect Joe Blow Sixpack, who only has about 100, 200 grand in his name, that, he can't really invest in these deals.
yeah,
But most investors don't realize that you don't have to be accredited to invest in private equity deals. You just have to have a relationship with the sponsor. 90 to 97% of deals, I mean, you can go look at yourself on the SEC website, in the EGGR database, or for non-accredited investors. You just don't have access to it. That's the big thing. You don't know the sponsors. You don't know who the people are doing it. It's the country club.
oh, love it. So those that are out there listening, what about it? Are you picking up any more investors, accredited investors?
Yeah, we always are. We kind of work more off a relationship. I've kind of built up more of a boutique syndication company. I don't really need to do this for a living. I like it so I can have, cool people come through and work with me. Um, I want to have a relationship with all my investors. I want to bring them down to our annual mastermind in Hawaii and hang out. So it's kind of a smaller group of folks. But yeah, I mean, if people are interested, they can always get a hold of me on my website. Check out my podcasts. And then, most times it's just book an onboarding call and let's get to know each other.
And I think that's the best way to doing it too. You have that comfort level and everybody's on the same page. It like we said earlier, real estate is not hard. And there's a lot of business to be made, but I think you're giving a lot of people opportunity. There's a lot of people out there that love their jobs and they have the funds to invest, but they don't have the time. So I think syndications is a way to do it. And to me, I think it's less riskier too, especially the type of investments that you guys do. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, you're investing with the pros, and for sure it
Yeah.
makes, they're a lot stronger deals. They're like 1 in 1,000 deals.
Yeah.
And but the problem with syndications is, as a passive investor, if you have no network, you could just invest with a shyster. Like, you don't know.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's the scary part. And that's why we're big on, I'm big on relationships. And I tell my investors, look, I'm a syndicator. Don't take my word for it, right? Go talk to my other folks, right? Go build up your own network of other guys who can give you advice that don't have a dog in the fight. That's my first passive investment I went to as just a, passive investor. I went in and some self-directed IRA company recommended them, but they turned out to be just ran off my money. And
What?
then I was looking back, and I was like, yeah, that referral wasn't probably the best referral. I didn't, they didn't put their money in. They just kind of knew the guy. I didn't know if they had some kind of referral relationship
Might
on the
have.
back end. Probably did, right? You know how those Rio meetings work.
Yeah.
Well, I don't go to them anymore. You know,
There's They're
yeah,
good, but you really have to check who you have. Funny that you said that. I was talking to someone and I was like, why? There was a group and I mean, they're no longer around. I think they're in jail, but they were convincing people to do drawer deeds. Have you ever heard of drawer deeds?
sounds super active and not simple passive cash flow to me.
They were convincing people to give loans like lenders private hey, give me a loan, but it's better if we do a drawer deed, meaning you don't record it.
Hmm.
I said, what benefit is that to the investor? There's no guarantee, there's no
Collateral, right? Yeah.
exactly. Well, I guess what they were doing, they were putting literally the deeds in a drawer, and they weren't just getting one, they were getting like five on the same property. So I said, that is why recording is very important. It only
Mhm.
benefited them. So she said they were so nice. I said, yeah, that's usually what happens is you do need to do your research on it. And, like you said, go talk to other people,
Yeah.
and vet it out. I mean, it's important. It's really important.
Yeah,
I
and that's reminds me a lot, like even in our private placement side, we have 150-page documents called private placement memorandums, and it's registered with the SEC, the feds. But
Yeah,
there are deals out there where they'll create a blind pool fund. A house flipper will just give me a whole bunch of money. I'll flip a bunch of houses in it. But those are typically the ones that I stay away from, right? Because
yeah.
it's all over the place, and at the end of the day, the assets are not or the private equity is not collateralized by the assets. It's
And that's
collateralized by some
huge.
personal return, and to me, personal returns mean jack.
Yeah. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Listen from the expert here. I mean, there's a reason why uh, you said you started in 2010, you said?
Yeah, yeah. So
And you have
about
how many?
3,500.
Yeah. Listen to the expert. He's doing something right, wouldn't you say? I mean, that's huge. I mean, congrats and kudos to you. That's amazing. I mean, that's 10 years and that's nothing. And you did say that in 2015 you had what, 11 houses?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a get rich quick thing, right?
Huh.
But it's a get rich surely. I mean, the first few years, just
Well, you
twiddling
did
my
it pretty
thumbs trying to
fast
buy
though.
the second or third one.
Yeah, you did it pretty fast though. If in 2015 you had 11, that really means you did it from 2015 till now. That's
Yeah.
huge. I mean, congratulations, and I bet it was not easy. There was a lot of work to be done, but you just did it, and that's great. And now you don't have to have your day job anymore.
Yeah, I got rid of that a little over a year ago. It took a long time to get rid of that steady paycheck that you need. I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of professionals is your identity kind of is in this degree, and I had a PE, professional engineer license, and that's a hard test to take, and it's part of your identity, and you kind of throw it all away, and it can
Well, but
be.
you know what? Though it came in handy somewhere. I
Yeah.
guarantee. I guarantee. Well, I mean, no, you didn't throw it away because a lot of that training and numbers and all that stuff, it's good that you know for what you're doing now.
Yeah. I mean, there's easy money and there's hard money. That stuff is
Yeah.
hard money.
Yeah. So those that are accredited or they would like to speak to you further about investments, where can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can go to simplepassivecashflow.com. Have a whole bunch of stuff on my website. And, my podcast is a great resource for a lot of folks that even aren't accredited. I think I started the podcast back in 2016. The first year was all about buying turnkey rentals. So, I mean, I recommend if you're looking for getting started, remote rentals, check out the first dozen podcasts for all about that. But then obviously my story quickly changed as I started to get into the multis and syndications later on. But yeah, investors can check that out. And yeah, you listen to the first 12 podcasts. Let's talk. Let me see how I can help you in a quick 15-minute chat.
Yeah. And I really, those of you out there listening, if you want to do the actual hands-on, I feel that you really need to start in single families. You can't, unless you have a partner that's experienced, I would not suggest you go straight into, multi-family, huge multi-family. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah. I would agree. I think both you and I are kind of the anti-guru crowd. I mean, there's a lot of guys selling programs that you can buy 100, 200, 300 unit apartment complex. Well, I mean, I wouldn't quite recommend that. I would say
Yeah.
start with one. Start with a single
Start-
family home at least as a prerequisite to anything else.
I mean, it's not going to hurt. Single families are great, but you need to start somewhere. So I think unless you partner with someone like yourself, then that would be the way to go. Thank you so much for being on the show. I mean, this was great. Congratulations. That is amazing that you got to that level in 5 years, really. Let's just be honest. I mean, you should be really proud.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the show again. If you want to get a hold of them, simplepassivecashflow.com. And we'll be talking soon. Thank you again.
Well, thanks, Vicky.
Thanks. Bye.